Hey YouTube, Jonathan Mozart here, JamesSports.org, James Sports 100. Here to do a quick rapid fire for this week in the NFL. We kick things off 1-0 with a win on Thursday as the Eagles beat the Texans. Okay, here we go. We kick things off with New Orleans, the Saints, and the Bengals down in Cincinnati. If you're the Bengals in this situation, you are in for a long day. I think because the Saints are getting healthier. So the scary part for the fact that the Saints are getting healthier is they are going to get stronger. They are going to get better. Cincinnati is in a lot of trouble, like we know. I've got the Saints beating the Bengals today. Next up, we've got the Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. Remember when these two teams met in Week 1, a lot of people, including myself, think that the Lions got hosed on that touchdown to Calvin Johnson that was called back. I think Chicago has made a lot of strides since then, and I'm not doing it yet, but I'm almost ready to retract my statement about the Bears falling apart. They're better than they were at the beginning of the year. I think they beat the Lions today, but I think they're in for a tough fight. I don't think they have their way with them. Next up, we've got San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Packers continue to get good. When you honestly think about it, except for maybe in the first quarter just last week against the Falcons, the Packers outplayed the Falcons. The only thing that helped the Falcons win that game are the questionable calls, including the one, especially the big one on 4th down with Tony Gonzalez. That wasn't challenged. That was not a catch that led to a first down in an Atlanta Falcon touchdown. The San Francisco 49ers are still in trouble. The Packers are being called coach killers. They played the Cowboys. Wade Phillips got fired. Played the Vikings a couple weeks ago. Brad Childers got fired. Mike Singletary is on the hot seat. He's got to be a little bit nervous, thinking that his job could be in jeopardy, depending on what happens today and what will be a very chilly Lambeau Field. I like Green Bay all over San Francisco. Next up, we've got Denver and Kansas City. Denver has been an embarrassment, this year, blowing up fairly good-sized lead last week against St. Louis, being completely annihilated against San Diego. A couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Football, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that happens every year. The Chargers get hot this time of year. But I got to go with KC here to continue their winning ways. And Josh McDaniels is in some serious trouble. I like the way Kansas City looks. I think Kansas City makes it into the playoffs as at least a wild card. I don't know that they're going to hold the Chargers off. The Chargers are on their late season swing, but I do have KC winning this game. Next up, we've got the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins. Chad Henne says he is a starting quarterback. He is not a backup. At the beginning of the year, he looked like a backup. What will he look like now? We'll see. This is going to be this will be a good test for him, but yet on the same token, this is going to be a good chance for him to have a big game against the Cleveland Brown defense and the Cleveland Brown team that you never really know what you're going to get. I've got the Miami Dolphins winning this game. Buffalo Bills, Minnesota Vikings. Vikings 1-0 under interim coach Leslie Frazier. Buffalo is slowly getting better. They should have beat the Steelers last week if it wasn't for a couple of mistakes, including that drop pass in the end zone in overtime. That was a huge one. They should have beat the Steelers. They put up a good fight against the Steelers. I like the Vikings in this game. but don't be surprised if there's an upset, especially with a non-healthy Adrian Peterson. Washington Redskins and New York Giants is up next. Washington, like I said last week, one of those teams you never really know what you're going to get. The New York Giants are about the same way this year. I can see an upset here, but I'm not going to call for it. I think the Giants win this game and will be a very typical, hard-hitting NFC East battle. Next up, we have Jacksonville and Tennessee. And this is a tough game to call right here, I think. Jacksonville's been playing tough. Tennessee has been playing not so tough, but you know that they're going to break into the win column with another win here soon. The question is when. This could be the week. I'm not going to call for it, though. I'm going to call for Tennessee. I'm calling for Jacksonville, but this could be the week that it happens. Next up, we have Oakland and San Diego, and if you are Oakland, I would hate... If you are Oakland, I would hate to be playing San Diego. If you're any team in the NFL, especially a struggling team like Oakland, this time of year, I would hate to play San Diego because they're one of the toughest teams in the league to play this time of year. And even though division games are hard, even though Oakland plays division rivals hard, I think San Diego rolls over Oakland today. Next up, we've got St. Louis and Arizona. I think St. Louis wins the game. Arizona looked horrible last week on Monday Night Football against San Francisco. They just looked horrible, period. They have no idea what's going on. It's like they're completely lost as to what the game of football is. Meanwhile, St. Louis got a big win against Denver last week. They continue to win, and even though they have a bad record, they look to win the NFC West. They can't do it this week, obviously, but they're still looking to get wins and pull that off. Next up, we've got Dallas. We have the Cowboys and the Colts, and this should be a good game. That's right, I said it. This should be a good game. Who would have thought that? The Colts are not what the Colts used to be. They're not the Colts of years past, but in their defense, they're an extremely banged up team, especially in their receiving core, which is very rare for them. They're pretty beat up defensively, with names like Bob Sanders and stuff. That's pretty typical. That seems to be a yearly thing, but it's unique, kind of unique for them to be banged up in the wide receiver position. As bad as they are, it's not untypical for them to be banged up in their receiver position, but as bad as they are, that is pretty untypical. Dallas is really playing some hot football right now. They really are. Play hard on Thanksgiving against the Saints and almost came back to win that game if it wasn't for a turnover. They've just played hard since Wade Phillips got out of there and Jason Garrett took over. I think Jason Garrett is, I've said it multiple times, I think Jason Garrett is the new head coach of the Cowboys at the end of the year. I've got the Colts winning the game. I think it'll be a good one. Carolina and Seattle. I didn't even know what to say about this game, so I'm just going to say this. I'm going Seattle. Carolina is too bad. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. Important NFC South battle. Good NFC South battle. And I think in the end, it comes down to Atlanta. I really do. Next up, you've got Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins this game. I think it's a typical AFC North showdown between these two teams that are battling for a division title. If the Ravens won the first meeting, Ben Roethlisberger's back this time. It's going to be a good game. Baltimore wins, I think. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, New York Jets, New England Patriots. I've got the Patriots and what's going to be another tough, grinded out battle. But like I said, I've got the Patriots winning the game. So that wasn't much of of a recap that I have to get the other sports done yet, and football starts in 20 minutes, so I'm kind of in a bit of a hurry here. I am Jonathan Verstappen from Jam Sports 100 and jamsports.org.